Will this eventually be the transfer window where, Clement effectively exposes all the past failings over past transfer windows at Rangers? I mean, the fans have been incredibly frustrated over the course of this transfer window, not only in terms of transfers, but in terms of things off the park, whether it's not knowing where we're going to be playing, even though now we're going to be playing Hampden, whether it's lack of communication, whether it's, signing too many young players or missing out on targets. There's a lot of things to be directly frustrated about, and I want to talk a little bit about the some of the comments that was made by Philippe Clement in some of the interviews he's done. We'll start this off by using Rangers Reviews tweet. So Clement done an interview where he says, "I had other expectations in October, but I know the reality now, and I'm very motivated to build the club and help in that. It's focusing on the short term and the long term." Now, the key phrase there was, "I had other expectations in October." Now, when you go on to this next quote that says, "If I only looked at the short term, I would only bring in experienced players who can do the job directly. Mistakes like that have been made too much in the past." Now, a couple of digs in there at past dealings at Rangers, and it's no surprise, to be honest, to any fans that yes, in previous seasons we have been looking at those kind of journeymen, those players mostly from down south that have come up on inflated wages and haven't really been able to do a job for us. And to be honest, it's about time there was a massive change. And for those of you who are sitting there probably wondering, this is a lot of young talent that's coming in. I'm not too sure I agree with the way we're going. We need a little more experience in this squad, depending on how many experienced players leave the club, the likes of Tavs, Goldsons. But in my opinion, I see this as, doing it the right way. That means, yes, I am still incredibly frustrated, and I'll tell you why. This is the type of thing that should have been done when we first introduced the concept of this player trading model, where we bring in players, we develop them, and we sell them on. But time after time, year after year, we have bought these players on higher wages from down south, players that have already kind of made a name for themselves, and we're at the stage now where we have a massive squad with a massive wage bill that we cannot seem to shift. Now, I'm not saying that it's completely impossible that we'll shift these players, but you need to realise the situation that the club can put themselves in, getting into this kind of this area of transfer business, and it's so much harder, it's so much more difficult to, one, rake the money back that you've put into the squad, and two, when you're not really seeing the return, it's really difficult to punt that player in the first place. Whereas if you've got younger players in, who you're developing, there's much more potential to make profit on that. And I'm going to read a wee reply to one of those interviews from the Ibrox Channel podcast. "This isn't really a massive surprise, is it? I think we knew after Beale's free reign last summer with signings that we would have to move players on first. Also, now the situation with Ibrox not being able to be utilised at the start of the season, that will impact us financially. FFP might play a big part now. Deferring some signings with loans to buy might feature more. However, you don't see many of those, as generally clubs want the money now. Players will start moving now that the Euros are finished and clubs are getting back up to speed after the summer holidays. I hope we see this sooner rather than later. A storm cloud is over Ibrox at the moment." Now, yes, you could make the excuse that definitely it's a solid excuse that the Euros, everybody's distracted with the Euros. A lot of clubs are focusing on watching the Euros, but to be honest, a lot of clubs are doing work in the background as well. There's now, talk about Alkmaar pulling out of the race for the likes of Sam Lammers, and we don't really know where he's going to end up, or he may well end up sitting here in Ibrox for next season as well, having just went through a wee decent period of form. The club might have turned round and went, actually, you know what, we're going to go for targets elsewhere, which is a bit of a brutal situation considering we almost raked back the money we had for Sam Lammers. The big part of that comment there was Beale, and yes, we've spoke about it numerous times, and I'm getting fed up saying his name, but we don't realise how far back last summer, set us, because we managed to somehow ignore the calls for the likes of Steven Gerrard, for the likes of Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, and bringing in players that they wanted. There wasn't a lot of movement. Obviously, the board or the recruitment department thought that the targets they had in mind were better, but for whatever reason, Beale got a free rein on that transfer fund with limited experience, and it has not worked out in the slightest for us. And let's be honest, that's fully on the board, and we knew it was going to take a couple of transfer windows for us to sort this out. And I can see what Clement is trying to do here. He is trying to set that foundation of youth within the squad, give us a bit of a room to actually develop players, to actually have the potential of selling them on for more. And I do like that. However, there will come a time where that bid will probably land for James Tavernier, will land for Connor Goldson. There's even rumours of Todd Cantwell. To be honest, no one in that usual guard is safe whatsoever. So we've got to be absolutely prepared. And on top of that, there's key positions within that squad that absolutely must be filled. But what we cannot do is shop in go down south, shop in that market for players who are maybe coming hit their peak and they're coming off the back of it, and they want to kind of revitalise their career at Ibrox. Gone are those days, and we've had far too many of that for the likes of Aaron Ramsey, for the likes of, most will argue, Todd Cantwell as well, Kieran Dowell. These are all players that have come up, not really necessarily had the impact that we would like to have seen from those players with that kind of experience coming up. But also, I mean, it's a tough gamble on youth as well, and a lot of fans are probably, every time a rumour pops up, "Oh, I've never heard of them, I've not seen a single thing, I've not seen stats or anything, who's this?" And to be honest, that's the way it's going to be from now on in. It's going to be players you've never heard of, you're going to have to research. They're young, developing players. That's what we want to be. If we want to make profit from player sales, that's the way it's going to have to be. And I fully trust Clement's the kind of person, the kind of manager that is fully able to do that. And I've seen a couple of comments as well with the comparison from Rangers to Man United, or the Ten Hag versus Man United thing, almost seeing Clement come out and put a couple of digs in at the board. And to be honest, a manager's only really, people might disagree with it, but a manager's only really forced to do that when he knows there are flaws within the club. And let's be honest, as fans, we all know there's flaws within the club. We all know that we've kind of ventured away from the period of time where we want to implement the player trade model, player sales, player development. We have ventured off from that, and we've looked at more short-term solutions consistently, and eventually we're now at the stage where we've got a lot of players on high wages that are aging, that we are struggling to be able to punt, or players that haven't performed like we expected, and we took that gamble on them and we haven't been able to punt. And let's be honest, it's through no fault but the club's. That's the way it is, and it's going to be a tough one for this season coming up as well, because I mean, we've not done many videos over the course, after the Scotland left the Euros and over the course of the rest of the summer, because to be honest, there's not been much going on since the likes of the Garcia rumours and the signings we've brought in the door. I mean, there's been names being thrown about, but there's nothing ever been solid, concrete to be able to feed off of and inform you guys about. But hopefully, things start moving now that the Euros is finished. Hopefully now we actually implement the kind of trading model, the club philosophy that we actually were supposed to have implemented years ago. Hopefully we kick on for here. Hopefully we navigate the absolute shambles that is the stadium situation, and manage to pull through it. There's not going to be probably a bigger challenge in the likes of Clement's time as a manager, and the likes of us as fans, our time as fans. than what's going to happen in the next few months. But here's hoping we get the players in that we need. Here's hoping that we manage to get rid of some of the deadwood, reduce the wage bill. I don't know how we're going to do it, but the club will be working, Clement will be working hard behind the scenes to make that happen, and we just need to wish him the best of luck. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe. Remember, the BlueSea channel memberships are available. The link to that is down in the description. Also, there's a wee join button up there if you're on your laptop or your computer as well. All our socials are also in the description, so if you want to go and check them out, we'd really appreciate it. And I'll see you next time.